All right. I have to stop starting the videos with all right. But it's just such a good starting. I mean, why are you so clingy this
I
morning
don't
and Friday?
know.
And this is all gonna go on camera?
Okay.
Okay, let's talk about the highlights of the conference.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
for you. Let's focus on the last day and then we can go over highlights.
The last day of the conference was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, whether you're, whoever your political candidate is, I think one thing we can all agree on is how entertaining the speeches are from some of them. And I was not disappointed. I think one thing that I respect about all of the political candidates, but especially this one that came in that made a huge buzz, was that he speaks his mind. Every thought that comes to it.
Who was that?
That was former President Donald Trump running for re-election for the
Right.
47th. My candidate is right here. It's Bobby Kennedy. But spoiler alert. But it was really entertaining. And I love that the conference, the speech was really centered around how to make Bitcoin great again. And one thing that all of the candidates agree on is that America needs to have a huge stake in Bitcoin because the technology is unignorable. And at this point, we are not going to be well positioned if we do not do something to involve our treasury and the asset, Bitcoin as an asset. So I liked that everything came together the last final day. And I loved the expo, the venues, the exhibitors, the people there. Everybody believes in the same thing. And it was a once in a lifetime opportunity, really. And there were speculations that Elon Musk was going to come, didn't end up joining us, and that's okay. We still had an amazing time.
Yes, absolutely. Let me go over what Donald Trump said he would do should he become president. A lot of actually, this was the day where, day two, where Robert Kennedy was there. He really understands Bitcoin and
How long has he been in Bitcoin? For over 10 years.
yeah. So what his plan is for Bitcoin is really good. But whether he gets elected or not is another question. Certainly it wouldn't be a bad thing, and I'm sure I would be very happy.
I would be happy because he wants to purchase up to 4 million.
Yeah.
He wants 4 million. There's only 21 million Bitcoin. So 4 million would position the US really well.
Absolutely. So let me go over what Donald Trump said, because the likelihood of him winning is maybe a little higher, probably a little higher. So it probably matters what he says about Bitcoin. And I have the main points here in front of me. On day one, he will fire Gary Gensler, and that was very well received. Gary Gensler was the SEC chairman, or still is, and he is not very crypto friendly. Then he said he would create a US government strategic national Bitcoin stockpile. So that is something very similar to what RFK said. And that's really important because it is in line with what Michael Saylor laid out for nations, what they could do with Bitcoin. Essentially, this asset appreciates so much over time that it can solve our debt problem, which we do know as Americans, we have a huge problem with that. He further on said that the US government will keep 100% of its existing Bitcoin. So that is good. He believes that Bitcoin will go to the moon. He made a statement that one should never sell Bitcoin. And I believe that Donald Trump knows a thing or two about making money. He also speculated that Bitcoin will one day go over the price of gold, or at least the market cap of gold. And then he said something about commuting the sentence of Ross.
Oswald Wright.
Yeah, do you want to tell us, Andrea, who that is?
I would be happy to do that, but I want to do it in an informed way, so give me just a moment. So essentially, have you heard of the Silk Road? If
Yeah,
not, it is an e-commerce platform similar to eBay,
it's not
where
around anymore, is it?
I'm not sure. I
Was in
don't.
e-commerce. Yeah, I think it's not
Okay.
there anymore.
So I don't know if something has replaced it, but basically it's like eBay. So if you imagine the maker of eBay going to prison for 40 years, what is it, time? So serving double life plus 40 years for the Silk Road, the e-commerce website that he
Content.
created. And the reason why it became controversial is that there were some listings, like it was mostly buying and selling drugs that was on that website, but small amounts of marijuana. So anyway, that website, as long as there were consenting buyers and sellers, as long as there's no third party harmed, then it could be sold. So anyway, he's been condemned to die in prison, and all of this is.
And we know people personally who got their CBD or their low quantity THC off of that website because they wanted to treat their chronic pain. Anyway, the guy was sentenced draconically, and President Trump says, I will commute him. So that's obviously super good. And then he affirmed that there will never be a central bank digital currency, which is super important because it defies all the ideas of crypto. Crypto is about decentralization and about making an asset that cannot be inflated, which all of that would be taken away. It's essentially the US dollar in a digital version. And then let's add on top of that the ability to track every single expense you make and also make decisions on whether that is a good expense, a bad expense, an expense that the government endorses or not. So you see the danger there with that. Trump says that Bitcoin and crypto will skyrocket like never before if he is elected president. And he,
Is that hurtful?
yeah, he said that Bitcoin is actually threatening the dollar. I'm sorry, that Bitcoin is not threatening the dollar, but the US government is. And that is very true. The United States will be the crypto capital of the planet and the Bitcoin superpower of the world. I think that is very important. And that's also something RFK agreed with, that wherever the future super centers, super miners are, is going to be very powerful, is basically where the world's reserve is being mined. And that should be in the US, and that requires a lot of energy. And of course, Trump wants to make use of the nuclear and fossil energies that we have, whereas RFK believes that there are ways to use renewable energies to do that. But both of them agree that we need to mine the Bitcoin here.
Mm-hmm.
He said something very important. Bitcoin stands for freedom, sovereignty, and independence from government coercion and control, which is very true, because government has a lot of control when it can inflate our currency. It is literally a hidden way of taxing the middle class, and that is something Bitcoiners do not stand for. He will remove all of the legislation from Joe Biden and Kamala Harris that is anti-crypto, and of course that is something we want as well. RFK went a little bit further in his statements, right? Because he said that Bitcoin will be convertible to fiat and not taxable. We don't have to report that to the IRS. Overall, our RFK went, these are strong statements from President Trump, but RFK went much heavier, and he had a much more precise agenda and clearer ideas that, quite frankly, that would be beautiful for Bitcoin and crypto.
He did. And I don't have the bullet points listed out like you did. We don't want to make this super political anyway. We just want to tell you what really stood out to us in the conference that each, pertaining to Bitcoin
Right.
specifically, that these candidates were talking about. But the national debt crisis, RSK kind of traced it back to coming off the gold standard. so that we could fund war.
Mm.
And so therefore he thinks Bitcoin is anti-war. There was another gentleman who had said that the idea of banning Congress from being able to print more money would also solve a huge problem. So I think, but anyway, back to these candidates in specific, I think he laid out a plan that was rooted in some of the foundational problems that we had with money in general. But yeah, that plan to buy at least 4 million by purchasing, what was it, 200,000 worth of Bitcoin every day until that's accomplished. And like I said, I don't have all of the plans laid out, but
Yeah, you need to make a separate video with the exact bullet points.
I'll do that. Either way, it'll be interesting to see what happens to Bitcoin within the next week or month or whatever. And then certainly after the election, it'll be interesting to see if any of the other candidates make a stance on Bitcoin and crypto and what their plans are. Are they even going to address it, or are they just going to ignore it like they ignored RSK during the entire conference?
I don't think any other candidate has a chance, my personal opinion.
Well, I'm specifically talking about Kamala, for example.
Yeah, well, any other candidate that have not attended the conference.
Oh, who don't have a track record of embracing Bitcoin and crypto in that way. Yeah.
Right when Trump left, U.S. Senator Cynthia, is that Loomis? Loomis, she introduced a bill to create a Bitcoin strategic reserve and purchase 1 million Bitcoin worth 68 billion. This to me,
she held the bill in her hand.
She held the bill in her hand. She calls herself the Bitcoin senator. And this to me was really the strongest message politically from the entire conference, because this was a bill. She read it off of the paper verbatim, and it just shows, I think, no matter what happens, even no matter what president gets elected, our legislative body is on a track to reinforce Bitcoin, is very bullish, as we call it. I think personally there is a very strong case to be made to follow Michael Saylor's advice to heavily invest into Bitcoin, because it can create generational wealth. It will protect you and your family from inflation for now and the next thousands of years, really. It's just something you want to think about several times. And for those of you who are in other cryptocurrencies, don't feel bad, as long as it's not a super exotic crypto that could potentially crash. Just by the fact that you are embracing crypto and digital assets puts you ahead light years, really, from compared to your standard citizen who just doesn't understand it, doesn't get it. I think I caught a few seconds of Vivek Ramaswamy. Is that how I pronounce it? And he said that most people, when they make their investment decisions, they just rely on a financial advisor. And that's understandable, but you have to understand that financial advisors have absolutely no incentive to sell you something that is not part of their offerings, where they can make a commission or anything. And Bitcoin being decentralized by definition is just not interesting for them. With one exception, the ETFs, but we're not going to go into that.
What did you think about the vendors and them embracing Web3 and the digital art?
Yeah.
Because this would have been in between, not really in between, because as such high profile individuals, once Trump spoke, for example, the doors were locked. You were not getting in, you were not getting out. But the time that we had to go into the expo hall, and we had to talk to everybody and take a look at what they were selling, specifically backed by Bitcoin. What did you think of that?
Yeah, it's a very mature sophisticated industry. There's a lot of intelligence, a lot of brain smarts in this industry. And why is that funny?
It just reminded me of what Trump.
Oh yeah, you are all very intelligent. And everyone is very passionate, which is why I believe this has a huge future. This already has proportions where it's not gonna go anywhere. This is such a strong investment heavy movement and industry, and it has everything from culture to technology to banks to innovation and AI. It's incredible. The vendors were incredible. And I also picked up a very nice jacket, a Bitcoin jacket, and a Bitcoin hat. And Andrea got Bitcoin earrings. I don't know if you can see them, but yeah, there we go, Bitcoin earrings.
Yeah.
So it was a very impressive conference. The next one will be in Las Vegas in May.
Yeah.
And I am planning to go there with Andrea. Almost by accident, are going to be in Singapore in September for 2 conferences. The Token 2049, I don't know why 2049, but Token 2049, apparently the biggest conference in Asia for crypto and Web3, and then also most likely the Breakpoint conference with it, which is the Solana conference.
So 2049 is 25 years from now, and I'm assuming they're making a prediction, and that's the reason.
It could
why.
also be some weird computer science reason. You never know. I don't know. Well,
or a combination of the two.
I'm sure. So put it in the comments.
We'll have to find out.
Yeah, and as you can tell, Andrea and I, we are still a little tired, one could say. It got very late. We went to the after party yesterday, which was actually super cool on the sky deck, and they had great music, lots of. Oh, yeah, let's talk about the people. One thing that stood out to me is that crypto people are really fun.
They are fun, and they're pretty anti-establishment. They're open-minded. They're willing to embrace new ideas, and it was really easy to talk with people across all walks of life and sectors of society, and didn't really matter who they're voting for because we all want Bitcoin.
Yeah. So Bitcoin is an ideology. It's a way of thinking. So what was cool is that no matter what political affiliation you had, you still agreed on all these principles. And that's not the case very often nowadays in the US. And it felt great to feel that.
Yeah, and when we're on the dance floor, or became a dance floor, on the sky deck, on the rooftop, looking out at all of the landscape, the cityscape of Nashville, and we're talking to people who are highly intelligent and very into the space in the industry, and a lot of them have started their own businesses or NSPs, and it's just it's like an encyclopedia of people, and you just don't stop engaging in conversation because there's always somewhere to go. And a lot of these people are attending some of the same conferences. In terms of vendors, that's why we're able to actually see some of them again, which is going to be really cool.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to go upstairs now and use AI to edit this video a little bit and take a bath.
I'm going to pack while he's doing it.
Also, maybe take a nap before we fly back to San Antonio. And then we will be in San Antonio for about 2 weeks. And then we're going to Amsterdam, where we will definitely also meet a few people of the herd, people part of the Elephant Money ecosystem. And I don't know, as you may know, that this is the last day of a almost 1-month work trip.
Yeah.
We left San Antonio, went to Houston, Alexandria, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Birmingham, Nashville. And I have to say, I already miss it, which is crazy. Yeah, it's crazy because I used to be this homeboy.
Homebody.
Homie.
No.
What is
Homebody.
Homebody. What is a homeboy?
Somehow.
Somehow. Does that need to be edited out?
No, it's just a cool name and a friend.
Yeah, and the homeboy of crypto.
Yeah, we haven't even touched on Mrs. before we broach it. We have not even got to the airplane. Well,
It's so funny. Sometimes I mess up English words.
I think I'll miss it too, but I like the idea of having a little reprieve and getting back on the road.
Yeah.
I think it'll be good.
When you be a Chewy home girl.
Oh my lord. It's home button.
Oh, home buddy. All right, that's it for now. We'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
See you later.